Diabetes Awareness Month, and if you're new to diabetes, it can be quite the undertaking to adjust your life to manage this disease, but a local doctor is offering some help. He's broken it all down into a couple of very simple books. Here with more is author and Dr. Andrew Reinhardt. Hey, Dr. Reinhardt, great to have you again today.
Thank you very much.
We brought a copy of the books today. Tell us, who are these books really for?
Well, truthfully, they're for anyone. The first one I wrote was called I Have Diabetes, Now What? And I really intended that for people newly diagnosed, or really anybody, even after years after having diabetes. A lot of people, unfortunately, have not had enough education to really know how to manage things on a day-to-day basis. And then my second book, entitled I'm Taking Insulin, Now What? Obviously is for people who are either new to insulin, or once again, even if you've been on insulin for a long time, there may be a lot you don't know or haven't been taught.
Yeah, there's several things I discovered in here that I had no idea. I'm not a diabetic, but still you hear so much about it. And while these are very small books, they are a huge source for diabetes. Why did you decide to break it down the way you did?
Well, it's funny. As I was considering writing, I went to bookstores, and there are all these 300-400-page books about diabetes, and I felt it was overwhelming for people. They're not going to be able to really get through that and remember at the end what they read at the beginning. And I wanted to use these as small resources that are useful, practical, helpful information that you're really going to be able to use on a day-to-day basis to manage your diabetes, as opposed to lots of really interesting stuff, but not very helpful.
Right, and this is something you can actually go back to. It's easy
Correct.
to find, look through.
And actually, I've started my third, and my third one, I've not come up with the title yet, but it has to do with the complication, and it's more for somebody that has a complication from diabetes and how to manage that.
And you've been working with diabetic patients since 1995. What would you say are some of the hardest things for them to understand once they are diagnosed?
I think one of the issues is it's not just, here's a pill and it's gone. Mm-hmm. And I referenced that in the first book, I Have Diabetes, Now What? That it's so much different than having high blood pressure is what I used. And most people, they get up, they take their blood pressure pill, they're gone for the day, and don't really think about it again. While with diabetes, there's actually some data suggests that people with diabetes think about their diabetes every 15 minutes on average throughout the day. And there's a lot more to manage. There's a lot more to know. You have to understand exercise. When do I exercise? How much do I exercise? When should I check my glucoses? What about my medication? How do I manage my diabetes on a day that I'm sick? What do I do in terms of monitoring of self-glucose? When is the best time to monitor? Before meals, after meals? What should it be? What other complications could I get? What do I need to understand? How do I inject insulin? How do I use a pen versus a vial syringe? There's so much to know. It's not just take a pill and you're done.
Mm-hmm. Definitely a life-altering situation. Absolutely. There. You also have a website. Now, is that a tool you should use with the books or something for anyone to check out? How does that work along with it?
Well, obviously there's links on there to buy the book at Amazon.com, etc. But there's also, I have just resources, websites that I believe were good websites that regarding diabetes, American Diabetes Association, etc. I have some other, what I call useful tools. One is just a diabetes checklist. In order to keep track of, hey, what should my glucose be, and what should my cholesterol be, my blood pressure, and how often should I have my feet examined, how often should I have my eyes examined, and just a nice little checklist you can actually print out and take with you to your doctor's office or keep track of those things. I also do a blog. Whenever any interesting diabetes information comes out, I'll write a small blurb about that on my blog. And there's some videos on there as well regarding different diabetes-related topics.
And why do you have such a vested interest in diabetes?
You know, it's so funny because everybody asks, do you have diabetes? Which I don't, and I don't even have any family members with diabetes. When I came out of training, it was just something that interested me so much. And I enjoyed the educational part. In Latin, doctor means teacher. And with diabetes, more than anything, you feel like a teacher, and that's where the books, I guess, came from, is teaching people about their illness and how to manage it on a day-to-day basis. Then I became the physician advisor to the Diabetes Education Center at Johns Memorial Hospital, and subsequently have become the medical director and the physician at the Diabetes Care Center. And it's literally my life at this point. I lecture frequently to physicians as well as patients regarding diabetes. Actually, this week in Wise, there's a Healthy Appalachia Institute, and they're having a Southwest Virginia Diabetes Roundtable, and I've been invited to sit on that. I have to give a lecture to the Filipino Medical Society this weekend regarding diabetes, and it's just really become my life almost. I just enjoy it so much.
All right, great way to share your knowledge as well. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
To learn more about Dr. Reinhardt's books or diabetes, check out his website, thediabetesexpert.com. Well, next at noon, let the shopping begin. We're going to preview 2 places you can find some